Are you feeling in control right now? What if there's a way to not only be in control, but to really feel like you are and know that you are? Let's talk about making that one choice that rules all the others. Let's talk about becoming the biggest influence in your own life. For the final time, this is Survival Guide. Welcome to the final survival guide of the series, and we thought we'd go out with the big one. The one lesson that you need to learn that really does affect and impact all the others. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. And it is that what goes in you controls you. Well, it's not exactly that. I've had to tell young people that when they've done something really stupid, and their excuse was, yeah, but I was drunk, as if that's an excuse. And I'll say to them, sure, what goes in you controls you. So control what goes in you. You have the freedom to choose to get drunk or to take drugs or to do anything that influences you. Once you have, it's influencing you and you're starting to lose control. But control always starts with what you put in you in the first place. And we're not just talking about substances. At the end of the day, the only true freedom you have is the ability to choose your influence. So let me ask you, do you know what influences are creeping into your mind? Do you know what influences are driving you and pushing you? I mean, hands up, who's being stressed out by the news right now? Who believes that COVID-19 is real? COVID-19 is caused by 5G. Bill Gates is the devil and he's just trying to take over your mind. Well, it kind of depends on what news stories you listen to. There are people cowering at home, there are people protesting in parks, and they're all being influenced by someone. I mean, we all know mainstream media is fake news. This is an actual screenshot from a website called New Right News. And here they are. They are complaining and protesting about having to be locked down. They don't want mainstream media lying to you, so they're going to not lie to you instead. Which influence do you choose? Is it the BBC? Is it Sky News? Is it Bob and Eric? Here's something Eric says to try to convince you. He said, Americans will be adults and self-social distance themselves. And here's a picture of them doing exactly that. As you can see, we've got Save My Right to Die, Defund Science, Hands Off My Ignorance, My Virus, My Choice. Are these the people who you want influencing you? Or maybe you want to know who on earth is influencing them. Or maybe I'm influencing you right now. I mean, where did we get this screenshot from? Was it from a reputable news source? Well, you tell me. It's from a website called Black Enterprise. That's where I got the image from. Is that someone you want to believe? I don't know. But you get to choose who you believe in life. And let's face it, there are enough voices shouting at you all the time, telling you what's true and what's not. And they all accuse each other of being fake news. But at the end of the day, in amongst all of that mess and all of that noise, you've got the responsibility to choose your influence. Choosing your influence is choosing your life. So let me ask you a question. Where is it healthy to get your influence from? And I don't just mean what you believe, but who you want to be. Because we all really model our lives so much around the idea that I want to be like, I want to sing like Adele, I want to be built like Chris Hemsworth, I want to be famous like Madonna. We build our idea of what we want to be on what we want to be like. We look for examples and then we try to be like that. But at the end of the day, when we say, what do I want to be like? We're not really saying that. What we're really saying is, who do I want to be like? And you know, ultimately, we all know that the best goal is all about being a good person, right? I put this meme up on Facebook a few weeks ago about be a Tom, not a Tim. I mean, we all know Captain Tom now, or Major Tom, or Colonel Tom, or whatever he is, who went walking around the garden and raised more money than comic relief for the NHS. And then at the bottom there, we've got Tim at Wetherspoons, who was famous for sacking all his staff, although I don't think he actually did that. But everybody who saw this online suddenly got it. Yep, you want to be the guy who does things for charity, not the guy who does whatever it takes to make money. We all know that the best goal is not making money, it's not maximizing profits, it's what you do for the people around you. It's being a good person. So here's a question, and we're going to play a game. Was Jesus the best person ever? I'm going to read to you a few things that Jesus did or said, and you get to either say, wish I was more like that, or glad I'm not like that. And to do that, we are going to look for one last time in the Survival Guide. And here we go. Okay, here's what we've been looking at for the last few weeks, and it's all in here. Firstly, he had friendships figured out. So he knew exactly when to trust people, when to put people into positions of authority, and who to trust his mum with, and who was going to betray him, even how to treat the guy who was going to betray him without being the bad guy. He never put the wrong person in the wrong place in his life. Do you wish you were more like that, or are you glad you're not like that and you would rather your friendships be all over the place in a big fat mess? We see that he fought for the needy. He goes into a temple and starts a ruckus. Why? Because a place that was supposed to be helping the poorest, the neediest, the lame, the sick, there were people taking over it, just making profit. He got angry, he kicked him out, he started healing people. He was always about the poor and needy. And if you know anything about Jesus, you know this. He could sleep in a storm so bad that professional fishermen were running around screaming they're gonna die, and he's lying down asleep. You know why? Because he was so in charge of the situation that he could get up, tell the storm to shut up, and then go back to sleep. Nothing fazed him ever. He knew when to rest, and he didn't let anything get in the way of his rest whatsoever. He was always healthy and always on top. Don't you wish you could do that? He defended women. On a number of occasions, he defended women with his own life, including women that even other women were ashamed of. Glad you're not like that. No, of course not. You wish you were like that. Or do you? It's your choice. And let's move on. He was never poor, but he was never greedy. We saw the other week that Judas was stealing from them all, so clearly they had money to be stolen from. And you always see them having everything they need. He never went without, and yet we all know that Jesus wasn't greedy. How do you even do that? Have everything you need without being the rich guy that everybody hates? Don't know how, but he figured it out. Would you like to know how? Would you like to be more like that? I guarantee you're going to want to be more like this. He could outsmart anyone. Okay, when we look in the survival guide, we've not done this bit yet, but when you look in there, you see that there's times when people came to question him, and some of them were like the smartest people in the country. They were like the professors of the law and the faith and the religion, and they asked him questions, and he answered them so expertly, it says no one dared ask him any questions after that. He absolutely shut them up because he was so smart. Don't you wish you could outsmart absolutely everyone with amazing wisdom? He overcame fear. Now follow me on this. I'm not saying he was fearless. In fact, it records that he got scared. Right before the cross, he got more scared than you ever have been in your entire life. But he was on a mission and he didn't let his fear stop him. He wasn't fearless, but he overcame his fear so that it could never stop him doing anything. Don't you wish you could do that? And finally, he was known for being loving, even by his enemies. The things that his enemies got most upset with him about was that he was loving people too much. They accused him of breaking the law, they accused him of saying things he shouldn't have said, but they all acknowledged, all of them, that the people loved him and that he loved them. Is that something you would want to be known for? And even to this very day, the one thing Jesus is known for more than anything else is that he was just about the most loving guy on earth. Would you like to be like that? Do you think these are things that you would like to be features about you? How about you start with this? Forget the religion. Focus on the guy. To know about the guy, you got to read the book. So let me ask you a question. When do you turn to the survival guide? Honestly. Now, I know some people are watching who believe what I believe, and some people are watching who don't, and some people are watching who hate what I believe. Okay, but I'm going to ask you all the same question. When's the last time you actually read this? How much do you read it? How often do you read it? Because not everybody does. People who believe it don't read it enough, and people who don't believe it don't read it enough either, so they don't even know what they're arguing about. Like, for instance, here are some things non-Bible readers say. And God helps those who help themselves. Nope, doesn't. When God closes a door, he opens a window.
The Bible condones slavery.
No, it doesn't.
God hates gays.
No, he doesn't. Here are some things you don't need the Bible for. Firstly, to know God. No, do you know what? You can meet God right now where you are. All you got to do is pray, and you just say, God, if you're there, show me. That's it. You don't need to find him in a book because he's bigger than a book. You don't need the Bible to obey rules. Oh, the amount of people who say, I don't need some book to tell me not to kill people. I really hope you don't. And also, you don't need the Bible to know Jesus existed. Oh, good grief, there are dozens of ancient sources of history that point to Jesus existing. There are so many authors and historians from different cultures who all wrote about this guy Jesus. It's not just the people who wrote in here. There are loads of them, and you don't even need to read the Bible to know that. This is not about bringing you to Jesus. This is about knowing who he is when you find him. There's lots of things you don't need this book for. But here's things you do need the Bible for: to be inspired by and learn to be like Jesus. Because what he did and what he said and who he was, that's recorded pretty exclusively in here. And I don't care what you believe. We all know that we would like to be more like that. We would like to be more like the most loving person who ever existed. We would like to have that kind of wisdom. We would like to be unflappable and unstressable. We would like to be able to outsmart all those smart Alex who try to bring you down. We would like to learn all that wisdom and be more like that guy. Forget religion, focus on the guy. And to know the guy, read the description. Look, right now, you might be feeling out of control because this situation, it takes a lot of control away from us. And whenever you see this, whatever stage of life you're in, you may find that things are coming in from all sides and pressing in on you and pushing you around, and it can feel like the last thing you are is in control of your life. And true, you have lots of influences all the time telling you what to believe, telling you what's true, telling you what's fake, telling you what to think, tempting you to be like this, making you too afraid to be like that. Influences surround you all the time. And that might be things you're putting in your body, but it's more likely things that you're putting in your mind. And you can't change influences from controlling you, but you do get to control what's influencing you. The one choice you have that's more powerful than any other is the power to choose your influence. That's a choice that you get, and that decides who you're listening to. It decides what you're aspiring to be. Choosing your influence means choosing your life. So I'm just going to ask, this most powerful freedom that you have, that's influencing all of your decisions and all of the things that are impacting your decisions, what are you going to do with that freedom? What are you going to choose to be like? Or to put it another way, who are you going to choose to be like? I mean, Jesus changed the world, and the whole world is better for what Jesus did and said. How much better would the world be if you did what Jesus did and said? The life and times of Jesus brought about charity to the world, and civil rights and equality, and a culture of forgiveness where forgiveness is seen as a good thing and where the best forgiveness is unconditional. We wouldn't have that concept without Jesus. He brought in democracy, international law. The list goes on and on. It all came from the teaching he brought. The most influential, inspirational, and loving person of all time. Does that sound like someone you would want to be like? So I'm going to suggest, why not choose Jesus as your influence? All you got to do is find out who he is. And the more you read of this, the more wisdom you get, the more inspiration you get, the more influenced you get to be the best version of you could possibly be. So I'm going to invite you to just take one step, a small step, to be a little more like Jesus. And all you got to do is ask him to help you. So I'm going to pray right now, and I'm going to ask everybody watching, why don't you just pray with me, okay? And we're just going to ask Jesus to start influencing us more. And then you can become more like him. And in so doing, become the very best version of yourself. I believe he's still with us today. Today, he wants you to be the best version of yourself. So I'm going to say some words, and I'm going to ask you to say them with me. Here we go. Jesus, I choose you as my influence. I choose to follow you. I choose to belong to your family. I ask you to come into my life. Amen. Now, if you prayed that prayer for the first time, then why don't you tell someone? So write it in the comments or message the church or message anyone who's watching here whose name you recognize. Tell someone that you made that choice. Now, if you're asking Jesus to come into your life, I believe that he will. But don't stop there. Keep praying. Ask him every day, come into my life and influence me. Come into my life and show me something. But the best way to know Jesus is to carry on saying that, but also to get to know him. Because everything from his birth, his life, his death, all written in here, and it's really easy to read, and we will help you to read it, we'll help you to find things. But guys, don't stop here. Because Jesus didn't just live 2,000 years ago and then he waits for you to pray. No, he left you with a survival guide. And it's here and it's freely available for you to read. People died in order for you to be able to read this. It's online, there are apps, it's free to get hold of, and we'll send you one in the post if you want one. You just ask us, we will post one to you for free. And that's the end of our introduction to the survival guide.